Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the finest Dawn of War Soulstorm cast this side of East Yorkshire. And today I've got two games for you. The first game being a 1 versus 1 on Blood River. Playing as the Chaos Space Marines, we've got DANTIST, and playing as the Imperial Guard, we have got AlixUK. AlixUK will be opening with double Guardsman, a Tech Priest Engineer, and an Infantry Command, whereas the Chaos player is going to go for a couple of Cultists and a Chaos Temple. So quite excited for this one. I've been informed of some sneaky shenanigans. I won't give any spoilers away, but should be an interesting opening from at least one of these players. I can see the Guardsmen ignoring their nearest and dearest. Oh no, never mind. They are going to go for at least one of their nearest and dearest. Not going to explore too far to get to the relic, because, I mean, what's the point in doing that? Double Heretics manoeuvring over. No. Plasma Generator from DANTIST over here, so expecting to see a big, meaty, blue money rush kind of thing going on, maybe. Both of these players, very high skilled. They're both 2,200 MMR, which is quite exciting stuff. We've got a command squad coming out over here. And a Commissar, an early Commissar going around, and a heavy bolter turret just to defend this relic down south. So I imagine Chaos Space Marines, big chunky boys, have to do all their capping. They might go out with this Chaos Lord and then start slapping people around. Chaos Lord might actually go and do the slapping by himself, although it's going to be wary of that command squad with his Priest. Priest and Psyker, Wombo combo, that's quite a deadly thing. Won't take out the Chaos Lord straight away. Might take a while to whittle him down, but it'll certainly be an engagement that I won't want to do independently. Might want some firing support from the Chaos Space Marines, and these guys have now done their capping duty, so they've got the free reign to go about their business and do their wicked foul deeds. Command squad now with his Priest will come down. Seeing these guys think, nah, you are not the targets I want to be a little bit squishier. Chaos Lord ready to send these guys out. So get out of my house, I don't want it, but a cheeky Commissar comes along, which is quite unusual. You don't normally see Commissars this early in the game, or at least Commissars riding solo, but here he goes. Causing issues, or minor issues towards his Chaos Temple, but we'll see double Heretics and decide to shoot them down. Chaos Space Marines are particularly vulnerable to the any kind of harass that focuses on their builders, as they do tend to have quite low health after they've hurt themselves from dancing too hard. But yeah, almost like a D&D squadron coming out, rolling their natural 20s, getting a couple of kills before running away. But they've been spotted by this heavy bottle turret and they're starting to maybe run down the river instead. Over on this side, I've got a couple of guardsmen, which will probably do the same. They'll see this heretic, and poor heretic, it's not a happy day to be a builder unit in the Chaos Force. Has got some more guardsmen now coming over, and a second Commissar, because why not? Got a maximum of 3. Those guys increase the morale regeneration and the health regeneration, so acting almost as quasi kind of apothecaries in the tier 1s. Got double Chaos Space Marines now coming out, and the guardsmen over here are going to be struggling quite significantly. Rejoicing in the coming oblivion, Space Marines are going to be led by their Chaos Lord over to this relic, which they can certainly do a good job at taking on if they want. Commoners are going to join them. Fort's been split open, a little bit of damage done to the Chaos Lord, not an amazing amount, if I'm being completely honest. This is a lot of firepower coming in from the Chaos side, but they have just came in as the listing post has been, oh, how would I say, got some shooty bits on it. So the Imperial Guard, they've got a little extra firepower on the incomings. Command squad going to use a lot of AoE bloofers from the Psyker to knock everyone around. Now at the moment, even with the Tech Priest Engineer adding some tying up stuff going on, has the command squad died? Can't quite see them. Oh no, they're still there. Still there. They just lost the Priest is all. With the addition of this listing post really adding quite a lot of damage to this engagement. Not a favourable place to really sit around. Got another Guardsman squad and a third Commissar, so the triple Commissar opening. Never seen it before, but it'll certainly add to their longevity. Although for some reason it's not really doing a great job at keeping their morale up. There's lots of morale being broken over on this side. Going to see a cheeky heavy bottle to it being placed over here to prevent these guys from retreating, and ah, my goodness. It's like blooming, oh, what day was it? Was it Thursday I uploaded last? It's like that day all over again. high pro strats is what it's called, but double Chaos Space Marines, very low on models now. Not an advantageous engagement for them, so they're going to fall back, but 3 Guardsman squad, more or less, packed to the brim. They've got no more room for extra guys at the moment. Command squad going to regain their Priest and Psyker. And what's going to go on down here? So double plasma generators are going to be built up. Current economies at the moment are 85 and 10 compared to 92 and 10. Although, only just getting their first plasma generators, they're nowhere near ready to get tier 2. They have spent some of their green money on fortifying these positions. Heretic once again going down. Whether it's a little bit too late to upgrade these things, but they certainly are going to give it a good college try. Now, I'm not sure if the Commissars, whether the health regen and moral regeneration stacks in like a general area, or if it's only just in the squad that they are part of, but either way, these guys are not backing down. Listening post now been upgraded, focusing on these guys, whereas the Chaos Space Marines have managed to get this squad almost down to minimal numbers. Going to be upgrading this listening post. I do quite like this, is upgrading them as and when the battle moves around. Well, I could do maybe with upgrading them a little bit before he actually brings them over, but got a limited amount of resources to play with, especially when considering that it's got to be reinforcing his lads. But he's managed to get these guys to stand a little bit in a negative cover, so if he can use this river to his advantage. Also got heavy bolter turret down here as well that he can play with, so drawing these Imperial Guardsmen into the centre here. They'll be sandwiched between 2 static fiery bits, which is quite nice. There we go, both of them adding to the damage. These guys going to run away. Commissar goes down. In fact, almost a squad wipe here. Would have been a real good thing if the Chaos Space Marines were able to get that squad wipe there. But amply defended, taking minimal damage to their structures, only losing really 1 Heretic and a couple of Space Marine models along the way. Going to go for tier 2 now. They've got quite the good force for a tier 2. Double Chaos Space Marines, not to be trifled with, as we just saw there. At least in a defensive capacity. But tier 2, quite far ahead. What is that? 90% compared to 25%, so got a good lead on that tier 2 at the moment. Although no real upgrades on the economy apart from just this 1 listing post over here. So all things to take into consideration. We'll be going into a mechanized command. I imagine, well, if they've got no major blooming, whatchamacallums, anti-vehicle stuff, probably Chimeras. That's probably the way forward. For all the boys inside the Chimera, you bring it down as the Chaos Space Marines are focusing on that Chimera. You bring these guys out, do a big load of damage, and then the moment the Chaos Space Marines start focusing on the infantry, you bring them back into the Chimera. You can negate that by, obviously, when they come out, you then reorganise your Chaos Space Marines to fire at different things, but that requires a lot of micro, which is very difficult. There we go, Chimera on the way out. These guys will chill out over here using this heavy bolter turret to add to their defensive advantage. Just a little bit of a stalemate at the moment. We've got a priest coming out now. Good to join these guys. Increases the overall weapon damage, if I'm not mistaken. These guys... Oh, where are you going, Mr. Command Squad? You're inside somewhere. Are you travelling? Oh, will you be travelling in the same... Ah, well, that's a cool way of doing it. There's no more room in the Chimera. They can't take the bus, so they'll take the subway instead. And rather than engaging the Chaos Space Marines where they are strongest, they know that they're down here. At least maybe they know that they're down there. Oh, that was hard to say. They're going to come over here instead. And start focusing on this, but they see a machine pit down here. Going to see if that they can deny it, but weren't quite able to get there. Chaos Space Marines now going to move over onto this side. Commons are now able to keep these guys honest and true. Miscast from the Psyker, breaking the morale of the command squad. These guys are going to focus fire on 1 squad at a time by the looks of things, but not really doing all that much damage. The guardsmen standing firm. We've got a sentinel now out as well to help with any vehicles that are coming out, and a Hell Talon is on the way. Not amazing against infantry, but will do a good job against the Chimeras at the very least. Can also be upgraded with those toxic dustbins, which do AoE damage or damage over time to infantry. Chaos Space Marines not really breaking through this Imperial Guardsman line. Not now that they've... have you got any upgrades? No, they've got no upgrades. There's no tactical control. This is just by the might and sheer will of the Commissar keeping people standing. Also, when they're inspired for good morale, they... oh, whatchamacallums, their firing rate and all that stuff does increase. But one squad wipe has happened down here, but double Chimeras are making them certainly feel less than pleasant over on the Chaos Space Marine. So I'm going to see another Hell Talon. Has the Hell Talon gone down? The Hell Talon has indeed gone down. Sentinel causing some issues. So wombo combo of infantry and vehicles is doing the good stuff. We are seeing a Purge of the Week from the Chaos Space Marines, but you see a bit more in the way of infantry. I mean, have you got the money for it? You do not have the money for it. That's quite unfortunate. Going to get this listing post decapped. We're just going to stay back a bit. Maybe see if they can pick off one or two individual models. They've both got their aspiring champion with their plasma pistols. Plasma pistols will do a good chunk of damage, especially against the command squad. Hellton are going to swoop in and focus straight on that Sentinel. Oh, never mind, he's going to focus on the command squad instead. If he can get them down, it'll be quite the good pickup. No, never mind, we'll just turn around. Guardsmen over here charging into close combat. They've got a priest in there, so that will be quite a good amount of damage coming in, at the very least. Helltown goes down, command squad being pushed away, but they've moved all the way over here and now surrounded by all the Imperial Guardsmen stuff. And there's a desperate defence. They've got another Helltown on the way out. But, I mean, the Imperial Guard, if you look at their economy at the moment, they could just pump out Sentinels all day long. All's going to go for that tier 3 on the back of this push as well. Chaos Space is not really being able to develop any kind of armed forces. They are going to go for some frag grenades, which would be great against massed infantry formations. Would have been really useful earlier on, especially for the breaking of morale. Cultists are out as well, but Dantist has said no thank you. This is a little bit too much. Those Commissars really adding quite a strong line at the beginning of the game. Chaos did have the advantage. Well, not the advantage, but they certainly defended really, really well when they were defending near this listing post and this listing post, ending their engagement there. But I think being prepared for a pushback down here, expecting them to come back round this way, but instead of coming round this way, instead certainly gave the Imperial Guard an advantage in setting up the assault before the Space Marines could do anything about it. Oh, okay, nice one. So thank you, Alex, for highlighting this game for me on the UK Soulstorm Discord. Links will be in the description below. And let's move on to the next game. And here we are in game number 2. We're on Meeting of Minds. It's a 1v1, and we've got Necrons being played by All-Seeing Eye, and we've got some Space Marines being played by Very Angry Hedgehog. Hedgehog will be opening up with quadruple Scout Marines, a Servitor, and a Chapel Barracks, whereas the Necrons are going to open up their usual fistful of Builder Scabs, a couple of Necron Warriors, and I imagine a couple more Plasma Generators. So I'm not sure. I think Very Angry Hedgehog is Blast Furnace. I think. I can't quite remember if he's changed his name inside the game. Don't know whether he's going through his Sonic Heroes phase at the moment, which we all do from time to time. And to be fair, Sonic Heroes was probably the best Sonic game that came out ever, because you got to play as Team Rose, and that was just a vibe. You got to play as Big the Cat. And I mean, he's the best anime character in my opinion, honestly, of the vast knowledge of anime that I have. So I've got quite a lot of scouts coming out just to capture all the points as quickly as humanly possible, getting that economy on the go. We'll stop them from building any plasma generators earlier, but that's totally fine in the grand scheme of things. You can see a Force Commander coming out to play it. He'll be able to paddle the Necron Lord out should he really want to choose. And we're seeing a couple more plasma generators, because that's what the Necrons do. There's a very limited amount of openings that you can go for as a Necron player. You really only differentiate depending on how many plasma generators you go for, whether you go for an early turret, and when that summoning core comes out. But we are seeing a grand total of 6 being built up, so much like the the monolithic game that we saw the other day, opening up with 6, which seems to be the standard for higher tier players. I tend to go for 4, and then goes to it because I daren't go for anything else, because I'm really bad at dealing with rushes. But then again, my playing style is not to be copied or imitated. You've seen me play on the channel before, and if you watch the games that are coming out tomorrow for the Arcs of Ermine campaign, you'll see me play on there, and there's some good players, there's some not good players, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we've got a Scout Marine squad coming in, doing a little bit of scouting. We'll see these Necron Warriors on the side. No, thank you. That's not for me. Probably wanted to see how many plasma generators are there. You can kind of tell what a Necron player is thinking based on the number of plasma generators. There's a bill of scouts over here trying to get some decaps, but we'll see that these listening posts have already been built up, so nothing in the way of decapping for them. They could decap the relic if they so chose, but they're not. They're not going to do it. So there. The Space Marines coming out. And to be fair, if you look at the economy now, 80 already, soon to be even more. They're going to have lots of blue money to muck about with. Over on this side, scouts ready to... Well, they've done that. We've done that cap. Now been decapped by the Bill Scouts. If anything, just to slur them down in the grand scheme of things. No one bothering to chase them around. Force Commander going to stay stationary, increasing his accuracy when hitting the Bill Scouts. Got double Necron Warriors out now, moving on to the southern side. Might want to watch out for the northern side there, as the Force Commander strolls on in like he owns the place, seeing this summoning core on the way. So he knows that at the moment the Necron Warriors cannot be teleporting around for a little while. We'll start to sharpen his blade on the sides of a plasma generator before being chased away by the Necron Lord. On the south side, we now have got a quite beefy amount of Space Marines, as well as a second Space Marine squad being spawned in back at base. We'll take down a couple of Bill Scouts. Every Bill Scout squad that is lost is a... Not a huge loss for the Necrons, but quite annoying. Going to send another squad in as well, just see if they can finish building this up under the rain of fire. They are surrounded by heavy cover, so that should help them, but well, they decided to not build for a little bit. Circuit's been fried by the amount of bolter rounds coming in. Necron Lord now teleporting in, going to frustratingly stab away at these Space Marine squads. Going to also rebuild these Bill Scouts when a third Necron squad comes out. Necron's over here managing to scare away these Space Marines, so they're going to decide to come down on the southern side and see if they can continue denying this obelisk. But obelisk has been finished, and they're now going to go for a fortified obelisk, giving them that big green zap to shoot out. Necron Lord going to screen away these scouts. Scouts increasing in number. And the Space Marine squads are also increasing in size, but the Necron Warriors have gone for a disruption field, increasing their range damage, so they should be able to handily, step by step, go against these Space Marines. Should the Necron Lord be able to do some cheeky maneuvers, we'll teleport around the back, tying up the biggest Space Marine squad. These guys are going to fall back. Lots of heavy cover for them to play with here as well, though, so that's totally fine. Current economies are 110 and 30 compared to 60% and 70, so good build speed for the Necrons at the moment. They have got some flayed ones in their ranks. One squad of Space Marines... Oh, no, never mind. They were managed to separate themselves, so one squad has been morale... Well, had a reduction in morale there. Or broken morale, if I can even get my words out. Sorry, this is first thing in the morning. Got a lot of things to do today, so my brain isn't quite working as it would normally. Which is not saying much. Doesn't work very often, in all honesty. But, oh, we've got some snipers on these scouts. In fact, triple sniper rifles. So if they all focus on one squad, they will do a fair bit of damage. Flayed one's already been taken out. Space Marines hiding behind their upgrade listening post. And yeah, one volley from the triple... Oh, what do we call them? Triple sniper rifle, soon to be sextuple. Does a fair bit of damage, even against the heavy infantry. Got to bear in mind that when the Necron Warriors have their morale broken, it also stops them from... It reduces their rebuild rate. I think it's like a 50% build rate, or rebuild rate, or like a 40%, I can't remember. Either way, it reduced it quite significantly. So Necrons do not want to hustle with that tussle. Losing a couple of models as they retreat through the winding, narrow gaps of meeting of minds. Billscob's trying to build up something over here, but Billscob's even more susceptible to the sniper rifle fire. We do have the Necron Lord causing some issues over here, but quite low on health at the moment. Not got that phylactery. In fact, have you got any... No, you have not got any artifacts at the moment. It's quite a shame, although the Necrons are capturing critical locations, top and bottom as well. So if anything, that should at least distract the Space Marine player enough just to maybe reduce their aggression by a tad. Space Marines going north, Scouts keeping low. What can the Necrons do against the Scouts? I reckon probably Wraiths are probably the way forward. In fact, if you're going for Tier 2... Are you going for Tier 2? Yeah, Tier 2 is about to go. So the Scouts should be able to get infiltrated fairly soon. And the Wraiths have detection. So that'll be a thing. Space Marines focusing on this obelisk. We are seeing a Ghost turret on the northern side. Nicely placed. Ghost turrets have quite the range on them. And some flayed ones just ready for as and when they need it. The problem with Necrons is that when you're taking up, you can't exactly build anything else. You've got to make sure that you're super duper safe. But triple Necron warriors, they should be alright, especially if they're being backed up by a Ghost turret. Space Marines have seen the Ghost turret, so they're probably not going to want to encroach onto the northern side of the Necron base. Probably want to focus on that south. And to be fair, they've already got this listing person, or should I say obelisk down. So more juicier targets, easily defended, or easily attacked, sorry, on the south side. Forbidden Archive on the way, I imagine, for All-Seeing Eye is going to go for the standard. Solar Pulse, Phase Shift, etc, etc, the usual gubbins. Cannot get that Phylactery until Tier 2, which to be fair is actually already in Tier 2, so I can actually go for that. And he does, by all that swarming amount of Scaraby bits, as you can see, has gone for it, so he will teleport into the middle. But no baddies to fight. They're still all the way up on this northern side. We'll pop down a extra listing post just for good measure. Finds where the Space Marines are. And will move in. I do believe that the Phylactery, or whatever, something else he has, also decreases the amount of range damage incoming. So those sniper rifles will do a lot less damage to him. Will phase shift. Increasing his health regen. Well, not increasing his health regen, but just making him basically immortal. Until he gets into position. Flayed ones moving around the backside. Wraiths also coming in. And this combination of Wraiths and Flayed ones, Space Marines are going to struggle with. Not the quickest. The sniper's getting a few shots off. Going to focus on those Flayed ones. Once those Flayed ones are down, and once the Wraith is also down, Space Marines can then stand a little bit firmer. We've got Chaplain in their ranks, increasing their health regen. Also just a mean mother hubber in close combat as well. So if the Wraith decides to mess with him, he can smack him down with his mace. John Cena Beam is being thrown down, preventing this listing post from adding to the damage. And this is quite a serious push from the Necrons. I go and see a Rhino Transport. Not sure if the Rhino Transport is going to save them when the Necrons are already in the base. Got some more Space Marines on the southern side, being upgraded with some heavy bolter... Not heavy bolter turrets. I was about to say it. I nearly said it then, but I didn't. Well done me. The plasma pistols on these chaplains as well. Or chaplains? Sergeants. The economy going for... Yeah, oh, mate, that economy is ridiculous for the Space Marine player. So he can actually constantly get some more bits and bobs. He's going to go for some frag grenades. Good for blasting these flayed ones back. And there's quite a firing line. Wraith is doing a good job though. Wraith is a nice addition. Necrons are now going to kind of fit themselves into the corner here. Phase shift. Preventing these guys from firing. Once they have phase shift, they can't fire away, but they're going for the economy, which is always a good idea. We are now surrounded a bit. To want to retreat, you're going to have to walk through a lot of fire coming in. And we are seeing some land speeders, great against infantry and heavy infantry. They're going to go for some frag missiles, which you don't normally see. But against Necrons, oh, of course they can teleport. They don't need to walk all the way back home. Silly Mr. Landshark, what do you know? Yeah, you don't normally see frag grenades on Landspeeder Tempest. They're normally used as a soft counter to armour with their crack grenades. But no, I mean, if you're against majority infantry, which you tend to be against the Necrons, then yeah, why not? Got some Immortals out to take out those flying land speeders. Necron Lord being a bit of a mischief on the southern side. We'll spot this Rhino Transport coming out. The Chaplain is on his own. He's following his own business. Necron's planning to build up a thermoplasma generator on the slag deposit. So they're putting down a precautionary Ghost turret just in case. And they almost caught the Rhino Transport in the corner with the Necron Lord and Flayed ones, but Not quite getting there. Necron warriors taking a little bit longer than required to help with that encasement. Mortars have been seen by some assault marines. Will be stricken down. The flayed ones are still out. Although Space Marines are just increasing in number. That is an intimidating amount of Space Marines. Triple the squad as well as 8 assault marines. You'd normally see just 2 squads of Space Marines. With the impressive economy of Meeting of Minds and the early drive into capturing lots of listing posts. Really, I mean, there's just too much money. His economy is too good, some would say. Without the Immortals being able to fire at these land speeders, wonderful choice in going into some assault marines. Because obviously when you see that machine cult as a Necron player, the first thing you do is build some Immortals. Your heavy destroyers are tier 3, so it takes you a while to get to that stage. The assault marines are being a real nuisance here, not allowing the Necrons to get a good firing line out. Frag grenades knocking the Necrons around everywhere. Solar Pulse slaps down in the middle, forces these guys to move around. These Space Marines no longer within range apart from their heavy bolter. Does give the Necrons a chance to slay a couple of assault marines, but these Landspeeder Tempest in the back lines are what's the real problem here. They're not doing like a game-ending level amount of damage, they're just doing enough. Doing enough just to keep these Necron numbers low. I do believe one Necron squad has been wiped out, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it does seem like it. Assault Marines over here going to keep these Builder Scarabs at bay, just in case we're planning to do anything mischievous. Flayed ones have been reinforced. They've also gone for a second squad of flayed ones as well. But not going to do all that much. Once the Space Marines start focus firing on them, they fall down quite quickly. A combination of bolters and plasma guns, not doing them any favours. But there we go. Some Immortals now out. Not being harassed or harried by anyone. Trying to get these land speeders of Tempest, and they will force them back. A little bit more flayed ones down on the southern side. Trying to keep this Gauss turret alive. They've invested a lot of money in this thermoplasma generator, which increases their economy quite significantly. But there's a lot of eggs in one basket. I think it's something like 300 green money to build up a thermoplasma generator. I do believe, if German is to be believed, that is the all-seeing eye saying, no thank you, that is too much for me. Won't be able to defend this thermoplasma generator. So that is that. So, yeah, just 2 short games, but that was... I mean, that's just a lot of Space Marines, isn't it? That's a significant amount. And on a map like this, where, I mean, the distance between the 2 players isn't that significant. Necrons were quite struggling to keep up with that kind of economy. Could not really take down enough quick enough. They did get a couple of listing posts down, but it just wasn't enough to stop the unrelenting tide of the Emperor's finest. So cool, yeah, nice one. My name's been Landshark. If you like the channel, have a look at the old Patreon. £1 a month gets you 1 extra game a week, and it's great for supporting. And there is also a Discord, where Discord things happen. Links in the description, as always. My name's been Landshark. Pleasure as always, never chill. I'll see you in a bit. Peace.